Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 424, and today we're doing battle with Jack Jarvan. And so I felt a little bad with the previous video. We did the 5 decks to try in Standard. I meant to play those as some of our introductory decks into the balance patch based Heart of the Huntress, and then just completely left right away. Didn't do anything with that Shadow Isles deck. It's kind of an interesting idea, right? Playing with the Frostbites and then using the Shadow Isles stat-based removal spells, the Quietus and the I don't know, Soul Cleave, whatever the Calling Strike thing is called, and I just couldn't do it. I played 2 or 3 games, and I said, no, thank you, this isn't for me, and moved on to Ash LeBlanc. But now we get to cycle back to Jack Jarvan. This is a deck much more in my wheelhouse and in my style, and I've enjoyed this deck quite a bit. And so, coming out of the balance patch, this deck has a couple of cards that were given buffs throughout the patch. Jack is, of course, the big one, receiving a buff. It doesn't show up on the card image here, but now Jack heals any damage that you get as you recover your spell mana, or whenever you refill mana, we should say. And so at the end of your turn, if you fill up some spell mana, Jack's going to heal. If you use an attune, like we have with the Grumble Slug or with the Piltover Castaway, Jack's going to heal. And then more commonly, as Jack is based on the coin mechanic, if you spend that coin and get to recover some health, Jack will heal from that as well. And so a big potential upgrade to the champion. It should get him much more combat ready. In the days of old, you used to get him into combat, he would fall down to like 2 health and then just die in the next one. And so ideally with this healing mechanic, we might get 3 or 4 combats out of Jack before he falls away. And having that healing kind of come in and give him some boosts. And so he's the kind of, core idea. He's the reason why we're here, but this deck has a lot of interesting things going for it. It has a lot of the strike mechanic tied into it, so we have the fish fights and the cataclysms as ways for our units to strike. Jack has the strike ability that generates coins, and Barnacles has it as well. And so that's kind of combo piece number 1 that we have rolling through this. Combo piece number 2 is we have a lot of useful things we can do out of these equipment, and whether or not that's just the Steadfast Elkin or the Faithful Wolfdog having equipment-based abilities. The Blood-Cursed Harpy has one as well, but we have these nice curve-based combos to where we play the Elkin on turn 1 and then have Barnacles on turn 2, or we can play Grumble Slug on turn 2, have that 1 spell mana from the first turn plus the attune, and then load up the Barnacles on turn 2. So we have really quick ways to come in and start generating these coins, and then the coins help fuel the remainder of the deck, whether or not that's churning out more removal spells or saving up some mana so we can cast off a big spell like Champion Strength. And so, good stuff. I love a lot of the concepts in this one. We're going to have some good fun with this. Let's go ahead and jump on in. And so, we've got the winning deck here. That's all Jack the Winner knows how to do, He's just out here to do some winning. I got to move this cat before we get started, though. She's trying to sit on my feet. There you go. Get out of here. Yeah, swat at my sandals. Don't swat at me. That's a fair trade. All right, so what are we up against? Up against Yuumi Aurelion Sol. Curious to see what comes out of this. Typically, Aurelion Sol Demacia is going to be a dragon, but Yuumi's not a dragon. So I'm curious, but we'll give it a moment. We'll see what happens. We got the mulligan into at least a unit now, right? That initial hand we had didn't do anything until the 4th turn of the game. Now we've got a Broadwing ready for combat. It's interesting with this Faithful Wolfdog. I'm not entirely certain if this is the deck where it belongs. You have a lot of options at this kind of 3-drop space. You can play more Piltover Castaways. You can go and play Loyal Badger Bears, which I kind of feel like is what this unit belongs as. But as it stands right now, I'm giving the Wolfdog a shot. He was upgraded in this recent set to where he now forges. And so you can just play it, right? We can just run the Wolfdog out. It's going to be a 2-3 since the forge still happens, even though it doesn't have an equipment. But I think we can do a little bit better. We have a decent 3-bank with this turn, dropping the Elkin, having the Cataclysm mana next turn along with Jack. We might be able to pull off something that way. Just a touch awkward not having any equipment in our starter here. But it's very interesting with the Wolfdog. If you say, excuse me, drop your Piltover Castaway, it's very easy to kill off, right? Since it only has 1 health. But if it gets to trade for a spell and then you get to play the Faithful Wolfdog for 1 mana and get the equipment forged and everything, it's a very nice cycle of combos that you can pull off that you don't just get out of the out of the stat monster that is, what's his name, the Loyal Badger Bear. But the Loyal Badger Bear can block Teemo, so he's got that going for him. But here's another option that we can use to heal Jack if we want. The combat reel does refill a point of spell mana, which we could then use to heal Jack. I think that the combat cook's probably just going to be a little bit more effective here, though. Well, we thought that. We thought he was going to be effective. I was not expecting a big Stellacorn to come out. I thought it was going to be a more reasonable dragon, like a 4/5 or something. But at the end of the day, this will be okay. We can spread this equipment out. We can reload it onto the Wolf Dog. We have lots of options here. I think we probably just want to go with the Wolf Dog. And then I'm going to look to just hook in the Stellacorn with the Petricite Broadwing. And then we could get into a spot to where a couple of things are happening, right? So next turn, we can Cataclysm off a unit and then just get the Jarvan summon. And so we might have a big thing coming down with him. And then if this equipment does come back into hand, putting that +3/+2 and Scout onto somebody is a pretty big deal. And so, you know, we'll see if that comes about. We're getting the equipment back in hand, and so Jack might be doing a little winning with the big stat line out here. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, if we want, we can make the play as to where you go for the rally, right? You put the Scout on a unit, you Cataclysm the Scout unit, and then you get the free attack. But with the opponent putting a Soul Forger out here, I think we just want to go with the Jarvan play. And so we'll Cataclysm into the smaller unit. Since we're attacking, Jarvan's going to say, hey, I see your attack. Good deal, bro. He's going to come onto the board, challenge down this Sun Forger. Nice little burst action coming at our opponent. Get us our second coin. We can't do too much excitement with that coin. If we had 3 coins, we would have been able to do the refill and then equip the Scout equipment onto Jack or something, but a little bit short. Still victorious at the end of the day. Good job, Jack. I'm glad we drew you. I felt so bad in that previous video too. We were playing some of the new cards and we just never drew them. It'll happen, you know. It's a thing, I guess, but yeah, it is what it is, you know. All right, but as far as these openers go, I'm looking for Barnacles. I will start with it. We're looking for Elkin. We're looking for Grumble Slugs and Broadwings, and I'm not opposed to Piltover Castaway if we don't have anything else, but it's kind of easy with the way that we have this deck set up to draw a little bit too much top end early. We have the Harpies, the Jarvans, the Champion Strength, things like Parts Made Whole that you don't really want in the early game, and so it can get a little bit clunky, and so we want to definitely mulligan and try to find the cheaper parts of our curve. So opponent here, he's playing Nidalee Gnar. This is the Ichiran Raymond deck we talked about in the 5 decks to try as well. It's got a very heavy presence in terms of counter spells. It's going to have 3 Vestian Disciples. It's going to have 2 or 3 Rite of Negations in it, and it's going to try and just stall out the game until it can get like a big money tycoon, whatever that guy's called, and go for big values from there with him doubling up your ambushes and then giving you the manifest while he's at it. So this is all around pretty awkward. I don't really want to get the Elkin involved with this board. I guess we can take the damage for one more turn, but we really need something to turn up here quick. I'm kind of leaning towards just playing Parts Made Whole and discarding Cataclysm as a means to look for something we can physically play next turn. I guess taking a 1 bank this turn isn't that bad, and if we do pick up like a combat cook or something, it feels a lot better, but ugh. Yeah, that's pretty gross. All right, let's send off the Cataclysm. So Jack turns up in duplicate. Not exactly what we were looking for, but he's at least a potential play next turn. Just all around awkward stuff happening here. And like, in a lot of matches, I wouldn't really mind, right? If we were just going to dirtle around back and forth and say, okay, well, I'll just draw Champion Strength eventually. You know, that's not a horrible game plan. But with this deck playing the 5 counter spells in it, I just assume that we have like the 0% chance of getting the Champion Strength to resolve. But yeah, I think this is fine. I mean, opponent plays Gnar, only gets to hook off our smaller unit. If he really wants to deal the damages this turn to face, that's going to cost a bit of mana. And then we do have the option here to just go ahead and fish fight the Gnar off of the board. I think that's definitely safe now that he's dropped below 4 mana. And so let's go for it. Let's just go ahead and take the strike with Jack onto Gnar. There are a handful of combat tricks that this deck plays. I think it plays like one just to keep you honest, but I'm not going to worry about it here. I'm just going to let that go. All right, we'll get our first Jack heal, right? Oh, no, we didn't get it? I thought we... Oh, we just have a spell mana left at the end of the day? I thought we had a... I thought we recovered a mana there. Oh. That's the way life treats you sometimes. Maybe I was just wrong on everything happening here. I don't know, man. But let's get the Cursed Harpy on board. It's a very high-powered attacker. The only unit he has right now that can block it's the Portal Scholar, right? He's got Brash, so he's not worried about these little 2 health bros running around. Very powerful attack. Start adding more coins into our hand. Very real possibility we just get up to, say, 4 coins this turn and then play a risky venture onto something. And so we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. Not bad. Not bad. So he just quicksands to prevent the damage. That doesn't seem like what his plan was. I don't think that's what he intended to do there. Alright, let's still send it. I mean, if he wants to lose the health on the Scholar, I think it's okay. He does have to worry a little bit about us actually just having a combat trick here and killing the Scholar off. Doesn't come to fruition, but I think this is all good. Not a bad hit in a River Shaper. It's a big value play. So what do we got? The Shadows in the Brush coming down. I think we just want to try and risky venture it. If he counterspells this thing, it's not terrible for us. This hits the weakest unit, so we don't have to... The All-Terrain Trooper hits the weakest unit, so we don't have to worry about it loading up onto Jack. Alright, let's see what happens. Again, if he counterspells this, I don't think it's a terrible thing for us. It does give him a good bit of tempo, but our blocks on this board are all pretty good. So he takes a Nidalee ambush and she just dies. Womp womp. So how many coins now? We got 5 coins up at this point? That's a lot. That's a lot. The thing I'm kind of curious with here is if we shouldn't have gotten the combat cook on the board with the intent to just kind of throw him away so that we get that equipment back in hand to drop onto the Harpy. Looks like it's not going to come together like that. But we'll pick up the fearsome equipment. A lot of units incapable of blocking a fearsome, and so welcome addition to the squad. Oh, we don't even need to coin yet, do we? We can just attack and Jarvan will come in. Put this up to 6 coins. We're getting up there, man. We're really close to popping off and just fish fighting equipment back to hand and then re-equipping it on the Harpy. So Jack just died there. We should have coined, right? We should have coined and healed him back up so he didn't die in that combat. That was a bit of a whoopsies, but I think we'll still be okay. Oh no, he's alive. That was our Jarvan. Okay, I'm losing it. I'm losing it. I was like, why didn't we protect our Jack? That was nonsense, but alright, he's good. So we can get up to 7 mana if we want. I think we want. I mean, we're not doing anything else with this coin, and it's going to get our Jack to flip for the turn. Get some of that big overwhelm damage in. No, we got to spend the mana first. Oh, that didn't work at all. I gotta get more used to playing these cards. We can add in the Harpy. It's fine. That'll get our Jack to flip. But not exactly the angle I was intending on taking here. I mean, I guess it's fine. The fish fight isn't hitting any high-value targets on the opposing side of the board. These units all suck, and so I think that's okay. Gotta stop and read this guy, right? When you refill mana, give me +1 attack and heal me 1. I don't want none of that dope. A scary version of Jack coming through. Dead. Nasty. Got them teeth out and stuff.
What form will the waters take? Waters are still.
Alright, so we cleared out the board. Still don't feel particularly awesome about it, right? There's definitely a lot of things that he could do here to cause us trouble, and so we're definitely not out of the woods as far as this game's concerned. Well, we're definitely taking this guy down, though.
Keep it flying.
Give Jack a little bit of heal, send in the fish fight. Do we ever... that's tough. Like, I'm definitely playing fish fight on the unit this turn, but would we rather just fish fight off of Jack and get those 2 coins in our hand? I don't think so. I think I'm a little bit more interested in loading up these the blood-cursed harpies with the equipment. It is dangerous, though. I mean, if he had a group shot or a pie toss and killed off our unit, we would have not appreciated that. And so, yeah, maybe it worked out for the best that way. And is that an all-terrain trooper that we just killed? Or does it not show us? It just says shadows in the brush, but then the next one is all-terrain trooper. Okay, gotcha. Wouldn't mind getting this Jarvan on the board, but I'm kind of curious if opponent's going to attack, right? If we get the Jarvan on board, then we get access to Cataclysm. And then we can do stuff on the next turn to where we open attack with everybody. That counts as our normal attack for the turn. Then we can Cataclysm the scout unit. That's going to give us a rally since we have the... that's our first scout attack for the turn, and then we get to attack with all of our normal units after that. And so I think that's what we're going to go for here. I don't have super high expectations for this this blood-cursed harpy at this point, and it just, shouldn't die in this combat, given that it's so large. Now, the danger in this is opponent has put another ambush unit on the board, and if we go for this Cataclysm play, and then the Cataclysm gets counterspelled, we're going to be short kind of an attack, right? We could have perhaps, say, instead saved Jarvan, and then on this turn open attacked with the scout, had the Jarvan come out, and then made a regular attack after the fact, but didn't go for it here. Alright, he has the Towering Paraphant. This is big boy for the turn. I gotcha. It's better than a counterspell, I guess, but we're going to have quite a bit of work to attack through here. Oh, and he didn't put a big enough block in front of the Harpy to kill off the equipment. That's going to be big. So let's give him a chance to spend some more mana, and then we'll come in with the Cataclysm. So this attack should work all of the time, right? Even if he has the removal spell now. Oh man, he should have stance swapped, right? He should have ram stanced that. Just AoE nuked this board and left us with only the Elkin, and I guess the Harpy would have healed in that spot, but ooh, Fam Jam, I don't know about that. That seems like it was going to be pretty good. Everybody forgets about the ram stance, though. I've got a lot of ram stancing under my belt, and so I'm not too bamboozled by it. Oh god, this cat's back. You gotta move. You gotta move. You don't need to sit on my feet. Alright. Well. Welcome to the bust videos where spend half the time wrangling cats out here. Alright, let's see what we can do. That was a bit unfortunate. We fell 1 mana short. Maybe that's why opponent didn't play the ram stance, right? They knew. They felt it deep inside. Oh my god, he hits the fucking Jaw Hunters. Okay. That's absurd. So he gets the challenge with the big unit. We have the form up to survive it. That's gonna be our potential saving grace here. Nope, no it's not, because next turn he's just gonna hit the Rock Bear. Oh my god, what an absurdity. That's insane. Alright, well that's gonna... a game that seems so far in grasp, just taken away. Fucking portals, man. I don't know. We had the options in that game. We had those spots to where we could have done something different. We could have played that Jarvan a little differently. I just, man, that seems so close to being done. But maybe it would have just been a lot safer to play our Jarvan a little bit slower. But I mean, like, all things considered, to where we didn't have any units until like turn 9 of the game and still having it come down that close, it makes me feel a lot better in terms of the way the games on average should be turning out. You know, if you're not playing one of these draws to where you play like a 1-drop on turn 2 and then you're playing parts made whole on turn 4, like that's very obviously not a very choice curve. And so feels a little bit okayer that way.
Go all at once. Any takers?
So let's see what we could do. I'm going to start off with Broadwing. This is one of these turns where this would be such a sick draw with the Barnacles, right? If we could get the Barnacles on the board, right? So we could say Grumble Slug, Barnacles, have 1 mana left over, get into combat, lose a unit, and then play the Wolf Dog for 1 mana. Like, that would be so sick if we had that opportunity, but it's not quite there. Do you ever want to just play the Wolf Dog anyways? I mean, it's going to be a 2/3 for 1 mana, and our hand doesn't do anything. Like, I think it's a reasonable ad, even though we don't have an equipment. Alright, so no catch from the opponent, and now we have the chance to get Jack down next turn. Alright, that could have gone worse. Still wish we had another equipment, though. So he's down to 1 mana. Do we really, like, we don't have to worry about a catch at this point, but kind of curious if it's going to be the kind of thing that exists as to where, you know, he didn't block last turn with Jax, had the opportunity for a value play and just didn't take it. Alright, not blocking that dum-dum. We'll have to figure out some kind of other answer to the innovative blacksmith. Here's the equipment. Day late and $1 short. I think it'll still be okay. So let's do this. Let's drop in the Grumble Slug. Gonna heal up our Jack a point. Nice. we can drop the Barnacles onto Jack, and then we can look to fish fight off something. See what he hits off the innovative blacksmith, if it's going to give him any bonus health. It doesn't, so all of our 2-power attackers should be good here. Do we ever want to coin this? It gets our Jack up to 5 power, or 5 health, and then he can attack again after this. I think I like it. So we have to coin now, right? We just spend the mana to get the mana back, but Jack heals himself. Now we can fish fight off the blacksmith. We're going to have the mana come back into hand. He's a safe attack at this point. Okay, then we're getting him pretty close to that spot to where he can flip, right? If we hold off on playing the Barnacles next turn and take a 3-bank, we can very easily go into our next turn and get a Jack flip. So we'll have to see if that's something that presents itself as well. Not going to have the mana this turn since we spewed off some of those coins. We're only going to get up to 9 this round, but there's some potential there. I wonder how scared he is of this 4/5.
Here, let me see that.
Right, is he ever going to attack into it? Why is he just cycling these equipment?
Right, to work.
Okay. Should have maybe blocked the innovative blacksmith, but I think we got something going on. Oh my gosh, and we're 1 mana short? No, we have 12 exactly, right? People out here watching Bust try to do math. That's a shit show for everybody involved. I'm curious if Ornn comes down this round, though. That's where the big money is, right? That's buried in ice. Yeah. I'm getting tired of buried in ices. getting tired of that nonsense. So, well, I mean, we had all the mana to spend this turn, but didn't get the Jack flip. We still got to at least come in with Jarvan. We're pretty dunzos at this point, though, if he has Ornn for next turn. We didn't play it very defensively, and so if Ornn comes in and picks up Overwhelm, we're just going to die. But we'll see. Buried in ice. I forget it's in the format. Like, I should remember at the Runeterra Open, it just got absolutely annihilated in the last round by Filthy Gamer. I initially messed up. Like, he was bringing in a lineup of Fizz, Aatrox, Vayne, and Jax Ornn, which is fine. We should have been in the spot to where we were just banning out Jax Ornn, though, but I'd gotten annihilated by Fizz a couple of rounds earlier. It's like we're trying to play a lineup that's good against Fizz, and it's just so frustrating to just come into the Fizz deck and get annihilated, like not even close. And so, like, I knew that, like, our game plan is to play Fizz and you just have to keep it up every time, but I was so kind of, like, dejected that I just went ahead and banned it. And then we got into the games, and he had a turn 3 Quinn Bird with the quick attack, and there was just nothing we could do. And then in the last game, we were setting up a big champion strength, and it was like it kind of felt like we were going to get hit with a Buried in Ice, but I just didn't think anybody was playing it at this point. I wasn't familiar enough with what people were playing in Jax Ornn, and he had the Buried in Ice to just murder us. It was such a kind of... It was one of those matches to where it was just like so easy for the opponent you can't even get upset about it, and it's kind of a bummer of a way for the event to end, but should have been my reminder that the Buried in Ice is still out and about. All right, but definitely not blocking the construct. We're gonna have all of our units online next turn. It's gonna take a little bit of time before we get Jack going, but sure, drop the bomb. We can switch this around now if we want, now that the equip isn't as important.
God be king with that breaking a few pounds.
You got stunned, bro. And a pie toss. Sure. That's a bit of a bummer. Everything about this game's been going poorly. Okay. Okay.
The stage is
Right, Jhin's online. I don't think we're too worried about him. Interesting with the combat reel. We have a lot of spell mana to be churning off here. I think that's where we want to go. Just the picking the combat reel only gives us 4 health in the face of the Jhin, but we can just block Jhin with Jack if we need to. Get this thing off the board. Don't need these lotus traps out here happening and stuff. It's like you're not really worried about the stuff that the Jhin can do. It's just like in terms of the damage. It's annoying whenever he gets to come out and pull off a stun, though. Man, I thought that spell mana counted for Jack. I sat here and watched it this time. That's just just apparently not how the game works, which is fine, I guess. You gotta learn how the cards work at some point. I thought the spell mana refill counted. That counts for Nami, right? Is Nami the one I'm thinking about, that you get the spell mana and she levels up? I don't know how they're worded differently. I guess having spell mana bank doesn't really sound like refilling mana, so I guess that makes a bit of sense. Why can't... Oh, Coin has focus now? Oh, what a fucking nerf, man. I was like, this is gonna be so sweet. I'm gonna coin off this damage, and then the broad main's not gonna get the kill. Bummer. This is a very good Cataclysm though. If we don't have to deal with the condense, and it's kind of hard to have a 1 mana damage spell here to kill off the Jarvan, and so maybe things will turn around. Maybe. Portal Palooza. Do we want to add the combat cook? We're so strong next turn once he hits the board. Especially if we hit Scout coming out of this. Didn't find Scout. We'll take the Amulet though. Just the better chance of making the unit unblockable. But I'm kind of curious if this spot, if we shouldn't have just looked to say discard Cataclysm to Parts Made Whole to get a bit of value out of the turn. He'll be getting a fresh Cataclysm this next turn though. Might get something out of it there. Got a 1-2. Well, here's our Overwhelm equipment. We can start getting nasty with this Overwhelm equipment and the Cataclysm, having the unit die and then re-equipping it back to Jarvan or something. We got a lot of options coming out of these. I think we want to use the Combat Cook though. It's like you have the option for just big damage, right? If we put the form up onto the Combat Cook and Cataclysm, then he gets that 7 stat attack again. But I don't know, that strikes me as just being a little too greedy. I guess the other option we have is if we're just slamming units into Jhin, we can say like Cataclysm the Combat Cook into Jhin, or maybe we just Cataclysm, like if we're not going for the Overwhelm because we're not going to lethal this turn. Well, I was counting on getting an equipment in hand is where this was kind of going, and then we could just discard the equipment to Parts Made Whole. I don't know, I think we might just be getting too clever. Let's see how this starts off.
For the king!
Gonna drop another Lightning Rush when the Overwhelm unit's coming at you? You'd say send it all to my Nugget, please. It's got a wallop. Where's this stun gonna land? It's coming back onto our secondary Combat Cook. Stun's the weakest enemy. So we can Parts Made Whole the Combat Cook, and then it just doubles up on stuns on our Combat Cook, right? I think this is how the game works. The 5/3 is going to be the weakest one we have. So he eats both stuns. Okay. Seems to work that way. This is why I want Jhin off the board. I don't want these stupid-ass Lotus Traps just stunning our dudes for free.
This way.
Like, this isn't like playing Anti-Jhin where you're like, oh shit, he's gonna nug me for 4. Like, I'm just more worried about those stuns coming in. I think we have to leave Jarvan at home at this point. The Cataclysms are going to be too important.
Easy does it. Oh dear.
So it's Herder, I found drop the bomb. Good job. The literal only card he could use to kill our Jarvan. Whew, today, man. Today has been a day.
More hands make
Oh,
quick
wow.
work.
Speaking of the way today's going, huh? Not only do you hit a Darkwater Scourge for some absurdity, you also hit the Rockbear Shepherd. Alright, guys. Alright. That's the way it's gonna be. Let's start with this. Let's get rid of this coin and see what we draw. We don't have anything that we can really be playing here, but nice to know that the champion's strength is about to make its way forward. Let's do this. We'll just go ahead and put the 1 block in. We're just gonna immediately replay the equipment with the Wolf Dog here, and so we aren't going to be like down a unit when it comes time to play our champion's strength. See if he's going to get one of those ambushes on board. Tide Rex.
Beautiful. Through my work, you shall transcend.
done yet?
Friends do make chores easier.
Okay, so he's killed off 2 units as we come into our champion strength turn, but we can discard the combat reel to the parts made whole to get an additional unit on board, and then we should be okay next turn to open the champion strength. You know, we'll have to wait and see what kind of nonsense happens with Jhin, but I think we should at least be, you know, moderately safe. There's parts made whole. See if we find any units. Rumble Slug is useful. So, I mean, got the opportunity to win here. I don't think we're going to do it very frequently, but all things considered, I think that was a pretty good outcome for us.
I have prepared something very special.
So, you know, is what it is. I know we haven't really amassed the highest win rate with this, but I think all things considered in these games, this has actually gone quite well. So that feels like kind of a matchup that's slightly in their favor, but I feel like if we played that one in like a best of 20, I would at least take down 12, and so just kind of one of those that kind of absurdities you have to run into on occasion. All right, into the next one though, up against the old scouts. Let's see what we can do. Maybe we'll find a touch of success somewhere, you know. But found a nice improvised unit. We're gonna have the equipment this game. I guess starting with champion strength could be okay, right? You just got to get Galio and Jarvan in here. Why do they have Lux in here? I mean, I guess Lux is a champion, but she would have been in the game when, or I guess I should say she would have been in standard when champion strength was printed, and so maybe that was more appropriate. Got to replace her with somebody. Get everyone's favorite spellcaster Vayne in there. That makes sense, right? Alright, Barnacles turns up. It's going to be a little slow here, but this is one of these hands to where we can add the Piltover Castaway next turn and then have the 2 mana banked up for a 4-mop or a Barnacles. Jack ready to party on the turn after. Okay.
No prey, no pay.
So what you got? In the face of misfortune, we have to take the one that gives bonus health. We can't just have a 1 health unit on this turn where we're about to get overwhelmed. So that feels fine. I say, ooh, that's kind of nasty attacking with misfortune. So how do we feel about this? I mean, we can form up out of it. I think the trade is just going to be fine. We're only taking 4 damage in total. But
Get shipwrecked.
like, we're so far away from the champion strength, and this Piltover Castaway, it's like, what are we going to do? We're going to go into next turn. If we attack with it, we're just going to trade with the same unit, right? That doesn't sound very good. And it's like, we're just never going to get that misfortune block with that. So let's just get him out of the way, prevent a couple points of damage, and see if our Jack can't get something done here. Somebody's got to get something done. Somebody, anybody, please. So I don't think we want to spend any of this mana, though. Like, we're pretty safe to just go ahead and get attacks in. He's never blocking with misfortune, and then we could, we can fish fight her if we want. I guess the kind of questionable thing here is if we should have just gone ahead and equipped the Barnacles, because he's never going to block with misfortune. So he missed out on a point of damage and a coin. It all comes down to if we're still feeling good about playing a... oh, we don't even have fish fight. Okay, never mind. So yeah, we should have just... We probably should have just played that Barnacles right from the start. Missed out on the coin and stuff. Oops.
I've come a long way from the flying stonebird.
Soldiers,
The Vanguard Sergeant, but he doesn't have the mana to play the 4 Demacia just yet. So we're gonna take a bit of damage here, but not enough for it to be the end of the world. I'm still curious where we would stand though if we had the extra coin in hand, being able to refill 4 next turn. That'd be pretty big. Now the fish fight turns up as well. Well, first and foremost, we have to try and take some of these units off the board before he plays 4 Demacia. Like, I guess we can just open attack into this, and then that negates it a little bit, right? He won't be playing it until next turn, and so I guess that's where we can go.
I protect my own.
We're gonna coin this health. Oh my god, the thing has focus? Okay. Learn from my mistakes, friends. Learn from my mistakes. It's like this should be hard for somebody that's played Karma Sett, right? As people have played Karma Sett for like the past 3 or 4 months, like switching into that mindset that the coin is focus is gonna be pretty tough for them. I played like 3 games with Karma and called it a day, and so we should not be in this mindset that the coin is focus. It should be a much easier transition, but that's one of those spots. If we got to go back and redo it, I think I would have been fine with coining off and then just sending in. That would have been okay. Like, we weren't. It's like, if you want to stop and think about that spot, it's not like we're being ultra clever by playing the coin in the middle of combat. Opponent can see, oh shit, he's got a coin in hand with like 5 stacks. He can just play it and heal his Jack all the way up. Like, it's not like we're getting them with some kind of surprise combat trick. And so we probably should have just played it up front and said, okay, here's what I'm bringing to the party. It's bigger than all your dudes. And then after that, we could have started to use our mana to play fish fights and play cataclysms and get that misfortune off the board, right? Because the thing that you don't want to have happen on that turn is, like, we play a unit and then opponent says, cool, here's 4 Demacia, right? You know, your combats are just completely done. But in that spot to where we open attack on them, they have no reason to play the 4 Demacia, given that we've already attacked. His units are going to grow and they're not going to be doing any blocking, and so it should have left us in a spot to where we got that open attack in. He maybe didn't block, whatever, you know, but then we have like a cataclysm and a fish fight to follow up with to eliminate his units down a little bit. And that's the kind of thought that I had in my head. That's what I was looking to execute on before I just completely threw it all away. So yeah, it is what it is. So how are we handling this turn? That was kind of an odd attack to me. I mean, opponent's playing what should be like Transformers Gnar. I don't think we care about that too much in terms of just strength. I feel like if we play a straight up game, we should be just fine. But do we want to like risk this Rumble Slug this turn so that we get the Challenger Broadwing next turn? And I think that's okay. I mean, we have another Barnacles in hand, and then next turn we can decide if we want to Barnacles or to form up. Did have dropped the bomb. All right. That was the kind of reasoning for maybe we just keep the 2 mana back, but I mean, that's not a particularly high value unit to be saving, and so
You can fix anything with anything. I'll
interesting.
prove it.
So we gotta remember, if we want the mana off of this coin, we gotta do it at the right time. I mean, it's kind of interesting here just to nug him for 8, right? He can't block any of our units. Fearsome on the Broadwing, Brash on the, excuse me, the Broadwing, and then Fearsome on the Castaway. We'll just hit him for 8 and cycle around. Like, these units aren't going to kill us next turn. Excuse me. And then I feel like we can just load up this Harpy with the Barnacles and kind of call it a day. Now a Scout Rake to go along with it. I'm not as in tune with the Scout Rake here. We just don't have any good units to equip it on. I was hoping to get a higher damage one so that we could put our dude in front of the Saurion and just get the kill. Like, I don't really want to form up and then use the form up to kill the dude, but it is what it is. And then I think we'll just take the rest of this, right? We're not going to stop any transforms. We're taking damage at some rate, but again, like, his units can't block any of our important people, and so I don't think we're too worried about it. So let's try it this way now. We'll play the coin. We'll ensure that we have a little bit of mana post-combat, and then we'll see if we don't end up following up with another unit. We have potential to pick up 3 coins on the turn, and so we might still find a Cataclysm after the dust settles.
Fighting food and cooking evil. No, switch those.
All right, so in with the Harpy. He's going to have to block with the Combat Cook, right? Unless he has another combat trick in hand, but they only have 3 mana at this point. And then even if he does, prevent the damage to this Harpy, we have the 4 from the Broadwing, 4 from the Castaway, 1 impact on the Combat Cook to try and fight our way through. And then if things get completely crazy, we can look to Cataclysm the impact off the Combat Cook for a last point of damage. I don't think this game's going to come down to that, but, the option's there. Alright, we're good to go now. Alright, won a game. Forgot what that felt like, Oof, we're learning, though. We're learning. Things we've learned today. Buried in Ice is in the format. The coin is no longer a burst card. And if all this Bandle City shit's running around, it seems like a decent time to be playing Brash cards. And so, see how it goes. I'm surprised with the amount of this stuff we've seen. It's interesting seeing all the Bandle City folks running around. It's like a lot of the kind of core strength in playing those decks was that you had the Vestayan Disciple to counterspell. You had the Disciple to counterspell the Siren Song on turn 3, and then you still had a unit at the end of the day. And without Siren Song really running around in the format, it's a lot of the power there falls off. But up next, we got Vhagar Nasus. I have to imagine this is a horrifically bad matchup for us, but that's just the way. That's the way it's been today, and so we'll see. We'll see. Vhagar Nasus is probably the landmark deck, right? The Vaults of Helia. I think that's the only reason these two party together. You get to generate the darkness off of Vhagar in the 4-cost space. Uh-oh, we got a kitty face-off. One of them wanted out. You had to open the door, let her out. There was a kitty on the other side of the door.
With the power of time, the possibilities are endless.
You might need to watch Face Off. If you're not familiar, it's a classic piece of cinema starring Nicolas Cage, to where Nicolas Cage and John Travolta change faces. They have facial transplant surgeries. You cut one dude's face off to attach it to the other guy, and that's the plot of the movie right there. Spoiler alert. They cut their faces off and trade them.
Rise and shine, Sleepy Doops.
Oh man, what a treasure. I gotta go back and watch that one.
They're my friends.
Alright though, a reasonable enough place to be getting into combat. I imagine if he's throwing down blocks with the Rockbear Shepherd that he just has the vaults in hand, and we're going to see that come down next turn. And so we have some means to kind of interact with his board, right? If you have the choice of your opponent having a 3-cost unit and a 4-cost unit or 5-cost, whatever their Grumpy Rockbear costs, or if they're going to vault up into Chronomancer, then you want them upping the Chronomancer. And so as this turn goes, we have a realistic shot to get most of this stuff off of the board. Losing the equipment there certainly sucks. But I mean, I think here we can play Jack. If he's going to play the vaults and then we fish fight onto the Rockbear Shepherd and his only upgrade is the Chronomancer, and then does that work out okay? Oh no, the Rockbear Shepherd is going to cause problems on that next turn, right? So I think this is the way it would go. So say we kill the Rockbear Shepherd, then the Chronomancer is going to upgrade into Rockbear Shepherd. The Rockbear Shepherd, it'll summon another landmark, but it won't put the guy on board. Okay, I guess I'm okay with that. It just seems like, you know, you want to keep them as low in the curve as you can. But, like, what's their 4-cost card? Like Vhagar? Like, I don't really care if he hits Vhagar. He doesn't have the mana to use it. But him hitting this Rockbear Shepherd, it's kind of suck. Right, does kind of suck.
More hands make quick work.
And our hand is also kind of suck right about now. Ugh. I can't decide if we should just be cataclysming this Rockbear Shepherd off first.
Just let them sleep.
Well, yeah, he's gonna have the opportunity to get a summon off of it, and so. So we can't do anything about the landmarks, and this will go left or right. And so the Rockbear Shepherd is going to die. He's going to get the Grumpy Rockbear. That's going to turn into Nasus off of the first vault. The second vault should turn Nasus into the Rekindler, and then the Rekindler will bring back Nasus. I'm not sure how big Nasus is going to be right now. If he's not obnoxious, then we have some opportunities on this turn. Right, if we say coin back some mana and then Cataclysm Jack into the Rekindler and hit Nasus with Jarvan, that strikes me as pretty good.
Who else wants to bet against me?
So we're gonna heal Jack, Cataclysm into the Rekindler. I think we have to do it this way. I'm a little worried that if we try and go for a champion strength, A, it's just not enough damage, and B, if he has the Rite of Negation here, the game's just over. So, oh boy, we got a shot. A Vengeance here would be pretty meh, but other than that, I think this is decent. What are we, like 1 mana short of flipping Jack? 2 mana short. Alright. Holy shit. Nice. Nice. Alright, so let's coin flip it, I guess. So he could lost the flip, you could say. There you go. Well, I mean, I guess it's not a complete loss in the sense that he's gonna Nasus off and hit the Rekindler. I don't know what the Rekindler typically switches into. If they play Decenata or not. Okay, GG. You knew that was gonna be tough. We were close though. Alright, this has not been a great set of games though. It's been fun. Hasn't been a great set of games in terms of win rate, but getting up to game number 8, we'll get it in here. We've cut some of these videos short. You had to go like 3 days without any bust videos, and so we'll get one more in. Get that game number 8. See if we can't get this cat out of the way. Off we go. The Zack attack. Isn't the Zack attack Zach Morris's band in Saved by the Bell? I think, did they remake Saved by the Bell? I can't remember. I thought something happened with Saved by the Bell to where they might have brought it back. I know they brought back like Full House on the Netflix. I thought something happened with Saved by the Bell. I can't remember. How do we want to go with this? We have this opportunity to like Barnacles the Grumble Slug on turn 2. I think I like going with the Elkin though. We can take it a little bit slow. Like, I'm not entirely certain the units that are going to be in Jack's set. I kind of have in my head this is going to be like a Karma set kind of match. And they weren't going to play any units until the 3rd turn of the game. And that's just not what happened here whatsoever. So that's a bit of a bummer, but at least our units next round aren't that bad. It's going to be coining hard. Let's see. So we have the mana. We can drop the Castaway. I think we want to pick Combat Reel.
You can fix anything with anything. I'll prove
That Shepherd's Authority is such a opportunity for failure. It's just almost never worth taking. So I don't think this is the spot for it. Now we can add in the Barnacles, have a pretty good attack, and then we'll probably, whatever equipment comes back into hand. I know we have the parts made whole, but we'll probably want to hold on to that equipment for the Heartbeat.
found some flotsam. No fixing that.
Everybody's getting coins. Pay up, bro. Straight cash, homie. Y'all know straight cash, homie. Greatest wide receiver of all time in the NFL, Randy Moss. He went to the greatest school of all time, Marshall University. And during his tenure with the Minnesota Vikings, I think that they were playing in Green Bay. And, yeah, this hand sucks. I guess we can... No, we can't even get Jarvan down next turn. How many coins do we have? Just one? We have to parts made whole. But, Randy Moss scored a touchdown, and then I guess people had been mooning him, right? They've been showing their butt area at Randy Moss out from the stands, and so when he went and scored his touchdown, he made a mooning motion as though he was pulling down his pants in the middle of the game, and the announcer starts going on with it. It's a disgusting act, and so it's a very disgusting act. Shouldn't be subjecting the children to this kind of nonsense. But that's what I remember. It's a disgusting act. But then they caught him later. They said, Randy, you caught a $10,000 fine for doing the mooning motion. How are you going to pay the fine? It says straight cash, homie. I can't remember if he said straight cash, homie, and then he said, I'm going to shake my dick at him. I can't remember the entirety of the thing. It's so beautiful. It's such a great sequence. And Randy Moss, God, what a treat. What a treat.
Ain't no fight I can't
All right,
win.
but let's dive back into this game before we get too far along. I think it's okay if we just end up passing and then he doesn't attack into our Grumble
Nobody's
Slug.
tougher than me.
I mean, taking the bank here isn't super ideal, but I think our hand is strong enough to fight with it. So now we can play the Harpy. I think we want to use the Amulet. That's kind of close. I like getting the coins, but they're just like less and less relevant as this game progresses. Just the big concern here is like we drop this Harpy, and then he has like a bounce spell and we just lose the game. I don't think we can risk that. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna swing in with Jarvan, try and take this Jarvan hook onto Sett. If he survives, great. You know, that's awesome having him hanging out on board. And now we can load up the Barnacles so we don't run out of overdraw too much mana. And then next turn we'll be able to Blood Cursed Harpy and Sandsworn Amulet and Cataclysm. Now, if we can actually resolve a Cataclysm, might be a different story. You know, I don't want to be in a spot to where we're 100% counting on it next turn, since he has played 2 of these Oracle things that let him get that free counterspell thing in hand. So it may not
Don't let me down.
be a real possibility for success, but I at least want to try. And we have 2 Cataclysms, right? So we might just find ourselves getting a coin into a second one. So he's got 5 stack of the coins and says, I got that karma mana banked up. I'm ready to drop the wizard on board. All right, well, we got the challenge in. That's going to give us the rally. Now, do we want to go ahead and play the coins so that we have the mana for the form-ups if we want. Or if we want to, say, just go ahead and Cataclysm at Jack. Let's see what he spends his mana on here. I mean, I think Cataclysming Jack and then still having you know, the follow-up attack afterwards with the Harpy on board. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. Right, he didn't counter the first one, so why do we think he's going to counter the second one?
For the king!
Nice, so yeah. Jack's gone. Jarvan should flip off of this, and then the Harpy still lives since we lost the equipment. Does that count as dying for him? Do you not survive off of that? Whatevs. Whatevs. Still looks pretty good to me. Uh-oh. Are we going to lose Jarvan? What's going on here? And so how do we feel about this? We ran into this exact same situation before, right? As to where we can open attack, we can Cataclysm the Harpy into something, assuming he has something on the board. That'll count as our scout attack and give us the rally back for the turn for another one. Like, I kind of like it, especially since our attack is so good, right? If he has like an answer to Jarvan here, he still has to have quite a bit of stuff to stop the Grumble Slug and the Harpy. And then we're just still like kind of lined up in terms of having a good Cataclysm, or if we have to wait till next turn for the good Cataclysm. It just feels like such a good spot to kind of go in and hit there. So, all right, victory unlocked. Not a bad set of games. We can pull this up, talk about it a little bit more. And so, you know, I liked a lot of the aspects of this deck, and it felt like the places where things went wrong were when we just didn't have an equipment to play in the early game, right? And so we would run into these spots to where we have like an Elkin and maybe a Wolf Dog, and then no equipment to go with it, and then our hand is like a Fish Fight Cataclysm. It's just like a really awkward collection of cards when things don't exactly come in your hand right. And so I'm not entirely certain how I feel about it in that sense. It probably needs a little bit of rearranging in some of the numbers here, but a lot of the things with this deck were quite powerful between all of these combos with Jack and him being able to heal. And if you actually play your coins in the right order, you can heal and get multiple attacks and strikes in. There's just a lot of really interesting and strong things going on with this collection of cards. And so, you know, that doesn't equate to a ton of wins today. A lot of those games were super weird in that sense. And so I think it's probably a little bit better than we're giving it credit for. But I think one of the things to really kind of take note of here is if we do get into the kind of space to where the gen decks are really, really popular, or the ambushed based strategies become really popular, then Brash is actually a pretty big deal, in the sense that your scary thing that's happening when your opponent's loading up their deck with portals is when they flip a bunch of like 3/2s and 3/3s, right? Those are the units that are then capable of blocking a fearsome, and that's your typical way of being like, okay, well, I'm going to attack through this board of small units. Fearsome is the way that you go about it, and Brash just kind of crushes through all of that stuff, right? They have to have 4 health to stop a Brash, and you just have a lot of opportunities to really kind of swing in and get around that. And so there may be something within here as to where you're actually looking to not go up the curve so high with the Blood-Cursed Harpy, but you play the 4-cost Cultist dude, and then you look to maybe even play Angel and really kind of maximize on what you get out of those Brash abilities. Because, if the control decks in the format are going to devolve into just being a bunch of Nora decks that just have Conchologists and Portal Fairy, whatever the 2-cost fairy is called, being able to kind of like attack through those with free reign and free will is an incredibly powerful ability. And so, it's an interesting thing here. And so what I think will happen with this style of deck at the end of the day is, and best of one, if you want to play the deck, it's fun, go for it. If you want to climb the ladder, you can do it. Is it going to be kind of like the top tier thing that you can really be doing in Constructed? Probably not. But it is something that you can realistically think about in terms of best of 3. If you want to, say, play some kind of like Vayne deck, and then you want to play this, and then you're looking to maybe play elites and then play your champion strength-based Demacia deck. Like, this is certainly an angle that you could look at if you're really super interested in getting the kind of brash theme going and having good interactivity with all the fights and everything, and with that kind of angle. But at the end of the day, I think that, you know, this is a nice rough shell, but we're probably a few cards off from being optimal. But nonetheless, good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Had a good time watching. Did I just say that? I can't remember if I said that twice or not. I'm getting too old. This is Bust, and we say thank you for being here.